Amira pulled the trigger. The guard dropped. She didn't look back. 3 days of captivity in Élise Duval's French estate had taught her one thing. Her so-called mother was a monster. And tonight, Amira was done playing prisoner. She sprinted down the marble corridor, barefoot, stolen gun in hand, alarms screaming behind her. Guards shouted in French, boots pounded closer. She rounded a corner, slammed her shoulder into a service door, and burst into the night. Cold air hit her lungs. Freedom. Finally. Then her phone buzzed in her pocket, the one Elise's men had confiscated but she'd stolen back an hour ago. The screen lit up with a single message. Unknown number. Viktor Baranov's mansion is under attack. Mikhail Orlov brought 40 men. Baranov is alone. He has 12 minutes, maybe less. The world tilted. Amira's breath stopped. Viktor. Alone. Dying. She looked at the message again. A video file attached. Her hands shook as she opened it. The footage was live. Real time. Viktor's mansion burning, gunfire, explosions. And in the center of the courtyard, Viktor, fighting, bleeding, surrounded. He dropped to one knee, clutching his side. Blood soaked through his shirt. The same wound from the poison, barely healed, torn open again. Mikail stepped into frame, gun raised, smiling that same sick smile. No, Amira whispered. No, no, no. The phone buzzed again. Another message. Élise Duval. Come back inside. I can save him, but only if you obey me. Amira's entire body went rigid. Rage, terror, desperation, all of it crashing together. She turned and ran back toward the estate. Not away. Toward. The guard saw her coming, guns raised. Stop! Hands up! I need to see Élise, Amira shouted. Now! They hesitated. One spoke into his radio. Seconds later, the reply came. Let her through. They escorted her back inside, through the chaos she'd just escaped, down into the wine cellar, through the hidden door into the safe room. Élise stood there, calm, composed, watching the same live feed on a wall of monitors. Viktor was still fighting, but barely. You did this, Amira hissed. You told Mikhail where Viktor was. I did, Élise said simply, to teach you a lesson. Amira lunged at her. Guards grabbed her arms, holding her back. She struggled, screaming. You bitch! He's dying. Yes, Élise said calmly. He is. And you have 2 choices. Watch him die, or accept what you are, and let me save him. Amira's chest heaved. Tears burned her eyes. What do you want? I want you to stop pretending you're Viktor Baranov's little wife, Élise said coldly. You're not. You're my daughter, my heir. And it's time you acted like it. On the monitors, Mikhail raised his gun to Viktor's head. 10 seconds, Élise said. Decide. Amira's mind raced. Every muscle screamed to fight, to run, to do something, but she was trapped, and Viktor was dying. Fine, she choked out. I'll do whatever you want. Just save him. Élise smiled. She picked up a cassette, phone, dialed. Execute protocol, serpent. Amira watched the monitors. 30 seconds passed. Then, an explosion rocked Mikhail's position. His men scattered. Sniper fire cut through them from 3 directions. Within 60 seconds, half of Mikhail's force was dead or fleeing. Mikail himself took a bullet to the shoulder, stumbling back, screaming orders as his men dragged him toward the vehicles. Viktor was still on his knees, barely conscious, but alive. Medics appeared. Elise's people, rushing to him, stabilizing him, loading him onto a stretcher. He'll live, Élise said. For now. Amira collapsed against the wall, sobbing with relief. Thank you. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Elise's voice went cold. You just sold your soul, Amira? I hope he was worth it. Amira looked up, wiping tears, and saw the truth in her mother's eyes. This wasn't mercy. This was control. What do you want from me? Amira whispered. Élise gestured to the monitors. New footage now. Not Viktor. Something else. A warehouse. Rows of weapons. Crates stamped with Cyrillic lettering. And in the center, a table covered in documents. The Bratva Council has been bleeding territory for months, Élise explained. Weak leadership, internal conflicts. Viktor's poisoning made it worse. They're vulnerable. And I want their networks, their roots, their power. Amira's stomach dropped. You want me to betray the Bratva? I want you to take what's rightfully yours, Élise corrected. Viktor married you. That makes you Bratva royalty. You have access, codes, contacts, information that I need. I won't do it. Then Viktor dies. Elise's voice was ice. My people are the only reason he's alive right now. The moment you refuse me, I pull them out. And Mikhail finishes what he started. Amira's hands curled into fists. You're a monster. I'm a survivor, Élise said. Just like you. And deep down, you know I'm right. Viktor is weak. The Bratva is dying. But you're a Duval. You're meant for more than being some Russian gangster's trophy wife. I'm not a trophy, Amira said through gritted teeth. I'm his partner. Then prove it. Élise leaned forward. Help me take down the Bratva Council. Become the queen you were born to be. And when it's over, Viktor lives. You live. And you'll have more power than he ever dreamed of giving you. Amira stared at the monitors. Viktor, unconscious, being loaded into a helicopter. Her husband, the man who'd saved her, trained her, loved her. And now she had to choose between saving him and destroying everything he'd built. How long do I have? Amira asked quietly. 48 hours, Élise said. In 2 days, the Bratva Council meets to elect a new leader. Viktor's too weak to attend, but you can go in his place. And when you do, you'll carry a virus into their systems. One upload, and I own them. And if I refuse? Élise smiled. Then I let Mikhail finish the job. And you get to watch. Amira closed her eyes. Every fiber of her being screamed to fight, to run, to find another way. But there was no other way. Élise had made sure of that. I need to see him, Amira said. I need to see Viktor, to know he's really alive. Of course. Élise gestured to the guards. Take her to the medical wing, let her say goodbye. Goodbye. The word hung in the air like a death sentence. Amira followed the guards out of the safe room, through the estate's corridors, into a private medical facility hidden in the east wing. The room was sterile, cold, filled with machines beeping steadily. And there, in the bed, lay Viktor. Pale, bruised, stitched, breathing, alive. Amira's legs gave out. She collapsed into the chair beside his bed, grabbing his hand, pressing it to her face. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I'm so sorry. Viktor's eyes fluttered open. Barely. His voice came out as a rasp. Amira. I'm here, she choked out. I'm right here. His hand tightened weakly around hers. Don't. Trust her. I know. She'll destroy you. His breathing was labored. Get out. Run. I can't, Amira whispered. If I run, she'll kill you. Viktor's eyes focused on hers, pain and fury warring in his gaze. Then let me die. Don't let her turn you into... No. Amira's voice cracked. I'm not losing you, not after everything. Amira, I'll find a way, she promised. I'll find a way to save you and stop her. I swear. Viktor stared at her for a long moment. Then slowly, he nodded. I trust you. The words broke her. She leaned forward, pressing her forehead to his. I love you. I know. His lips curved into the faintest smile. Now go be dangerous. 24 hours later, Amira stood in front of a mirror in Elise's private quarters, barely recognizing herself. Gone was the terrified girl who'd run through Moscow snow. Gone was Viktor's wife in simple clothes and combat boots. The woman staring back wore a black designer suit, hair styled in sleek waves, makeup applied with surgical precision. She looked like power, like money, like a Duval. She hated it. "Perfect," Élise said from the doorway. "You look like you belong in that council room." Amira didn't turn. "Viktor's stable? For now, my doctors are keeping him sedated. Safer that way." Élise moved closer, holding out a small device, a USB drive disguised as a luxury pen. "This is what you'll upload to their mainframe. It takes 30 seconds. You'll need to access the server room during the security briefing. Can you do that?" Amira took the pen, weighing it in her hand. Such a small thing. Such devastating consequences. And then what? Your virus takes over their systems and you control the Bratva? Not control. Dismantle. Elise's smile was cold. "I'll leak their operations to Interpol, freeze their accounts, expose their corruption. Within a week, the Bratva Council will collapse, and in the chaos, the Duval cartel moves in. And Viktor? Viktor survives, as promised, though he won't have an empire to return to." Elise's eyes gleamed. "But he'll have you. Isn't that what he wanted? To keep you safe? To give you a life outside the violence?" Amira's jaw clenched. "He wanted me to choose, not be forced. We rarely get what we want, darling. We take what we can and survive." Élise checked her watch. "The jet leaves in an hour. Moscow by tonight. The council meeting is tomorrow at noon. You have one job. Upload the virus. Then come home." "Home," Amira repeated bitterly. "This isn't my home." "Not yet, but it will be." Élise turned to leave, then paused. "Oh, and Amira? If you try to warn the Bratva, if you try to contact Viktor, if you deviate from the plan in any way, Mikhail gets a phone call. And this time, my people won't stop him." The door closed behind her. Amira stood alone, staring at the pen in her hand. Her reflection stared back, cold, composed, dangerous, just like Élise wanted. But inside her mind was racing. There had to be a way out. There had to be a way to save Viktor without destroying everything he'd built. She just had to find it in the next 18 hours. The flight to Moscow was silent. Amira sat in the private jet's leather seat, the pen heavy in her jacket pocket. Elise's guards watching her from across the cabin. No phones, no communication, no way to warn anyone. But Amira had spent 3 weeks training with Viktor Baranov. He'd taught her more than just how to fight. He'd taught her how to think, how to survive, how to turn weakness into strength. And right now, her weakness was Elise's greatest advantage, because Élise believed Amira was broken, desperate, willing to do anything to save Viktor. She was right about the desperate part. But Amira wasn't broken. Not anymore. When the jet landed in Moscow, a car was waiting. Armored, black. Elise's colors, not Viktor's. They drove through the city as night fell, past streets Amira recognized, past the mansion where she'd learned to be strong. The mansion was dark now, empty, still scarred from Mikhail's attack. Her chest tightened. Viktor was thousands of miles away, sedated, helpless. And she was here, about to betray everything he'd fought for. Unless she didn't. The car pulled up to an anonymous building in the financial district. No signs, no guards visible, just a steel door and a security camera. This was it. The Bratva Council's secret headquarters. "You have 4 hours," one of Elise's men said, handing her a phone. "This is your only communication device. It's monitored. Don't try anything stupid." Amira took the phone. Understood. She stepped out of the car and walked toward the steel door. It opened before she reached it. A guard inside. Viktor's guard, she recognized him. stared at her with surprise and something else. Relief. Mrs. Baranov, he said quietly. We weren't expecting you. We heard you were taken. I'm here now, Amira interrupted. And I need to speak to the council immediately. It's about Viktor. The guard hesitated, then nodded. Follow me. They descended into the building's lower levels. Concrete walls, fluorescent lights, the smell of gun oil and old smoke. This was the real Bratva. No marble halls, no chandeliers. Just cold pragmatism and violence barely contained. The council room was exactly as she remembered from the trials. 12 chairs, 12 men, all of them turning to look at her as she entered. The eldest councilman stood. Amira Baranov. We heard about the attack. About Viktor's condition. How is he? Alive, Amira said. Barely. He's recovering under medical supervision. And you came here instead of staying with him? Because the Bratva needs leadership, Amira said, forcing steel into her voice. Viktor can't attend this meeting, but I can, as his wife, as his proxy. Murmurs rippled through the room. The councilman's eyes narrowed. You passed the trials. Your marriage is legitimate, but proxy voting requires a witness and a sealed document. I have both. Amira pulled out papers Élise had forged, signed with Viktor's signature. Perfect forgeries. Viktor's orders are clear. Until he recovers, I speak for the Baranov interests. The councilman took the documents, examining them. Long, tense seconds passed, then he nodded slowly. Very well. You may stay for the meeting. But understand, Mrs. Baranov, the council is voting on new leadership today. If Viktor cannot lead, someone else will take his place. I understand, Amira said. But inside, her mind was racing. New leadership. That meant Elise's virus would hit the new leader's systems, would give her control over whoever took Viktor's position. She needed to stop this. But how? The meeting began. Reports, numbers, territory disputes. Amira sat in Viktor's empty chair, the pen burning a hole in her pocket. The server room was 2 floors down. She'd seen it on the way in. She could make an excuse, upload the virus, walk away. Or she could burn it all down. Mrs. Baranov. The councilman's voice cut through her thoughts. You've been quiet. Does the Baranov family have a position on the new port acquisitions? Amira's throat went dry. She had no idea what he was talking about. But she couldn't show weakness. Not here. Not now. The Baranov family, she said carefully, believes we should focus on internal security before expanding. We have traitors in our ranks. Until we root them out, we're vulnerable. The room went silent. Eyes turned to her, sharp and calculating. Traitors? Another councilman asked. You have proof? I have suspicions, Amira said. And I believe this meeting is compromised. The eldest councilman's expression darkened. That's a serious accusation. I know. Amira stood, heart pounding. This was it. The moment she chose. Viktor or Élise. Truth or survival. Which is why I'm telling you right now. Élise Duval sent me here to destroy you. The room exploded. Shouting, guns drawn, guards moving. The eldest councilman raised his hand. Silence! He looked at Amira, eyes cold as winter. Explain. Now. Amira pulled out the pen, holding it up. This is a virus. It's designed to infiltrate your systems and give Élise Duval control over the Bratva's networks. She's holding Viktor hostage. She threatened to kill him if I didn't upload this during today's meeting. More shouting, more guns. But the councilman didn't move, just stared at her with those calculating eyes. And why? He asked quietly. Are you telling us this instead of completing your mission? Amira met his gaze. Because I'm not Élise Duval's daughter. I'm Viktor Baranov's wife. and I'd rather die protecting what he built than live knowing I destroyed it. The silence that followed was absolute. Then the councilman smiled, cold, approving, dangerous. Then it seems, he said slowly, we have a war to plan. The war room was a concrete bunker 3 floors beneath the Bratva headquarters. Maps covered every wall, shipping routes, territory markers, safe houses. 12 councilmen sat around a steel table, and at the head of it, where Viktor should have been, sat Amira. Élise Duval has 40 operatives in Moscow, the eldest councilman said, pointing to red markers on the map. Another 60 in Paris. Her cartel controls weapons trafficking across 3 continents. If we go to war with her, we're fighting on multiple fronts. Then we don't fight on multiple fronts, Amira said. Her voice was steady now, cold and calculating, everything Viktor had taught her. We cut off the head. We go after Élise directly. One of the younger councilmen scoffed. You want us to assassinate one of the most powerful crime lords in Europe? In her own territory? That's suicide. No, Amira corrected. It's strategy. Élise thinks I'm weak. She thinks I'm terrified. She's expecting me to come crawling back after uploading that virus. But I'm not going back empty-handed. I'm going back with an army. The eldest councilman leaned forward. And Viktor? She's holding him hostage. The moment we move against her, she kills him. Amira's jaw tightened. She'd thought about this. Every angle. Every possibility. And there was only one play that worked. Then we extract him first. Before she knows we're coming. How? I go back, Amira said. Tell her the virus is uploaded. Tell her the council is compromised. She'll believe me because she wants to believe me. And while she's celebrating her victory, your men infiltrate her medical facility and get Viktor out. Another councilman shook his head. She'll have guards. Security. You'll never get close. I don't need to get close, Amira said. I need to be the distraction. She pulled out the phone Elise's men had given her. This is monitored. She's listening to everything, which means we can feed her exactly what we want her to hear. Understanding dawned in the eldest councilman's eyes. You're going to lie to her, through the phone, make her think the virus worked. And while she's focused on consolidating power, your team gets Viktor out. Amira's voice dropped, but it has to be fast. The moment she realizes I betrayed her, she'll kill everyone in that facility, including Viktor. The room fell silent. Every man at that table was calculating odds, weighing risks, measuring costs. Finally, the eldest councilman nodded. We'll do it. But understand, Mrs. Baranov, if this fails, if Viktor dies because of your plan, he won't, Amira interrupted, because failure isn't an option. 6 hours later, Amira stood in the bathroom of a safe house on the outskirts of Moscow, staring at her reflection. She'd washed off the designer makeup, changed back into simple clothes. She looked like herself again, tired, scared, but alive. She picked up the monitored phone and dialed Elise's number. It rang twice. Amira. Elise's voice was smooth, pleased. Tell me it's done. It's done, Amira said, injecting exhaustion into her voice. The virus uploaded. They never suspected anything. Good girl. Elise's satisfaction was palpable. And the council? How did they react when their systems went down? Chaos, Amira lied. Arguments, panic. They're tearing each other apart trying to figure out what happened. It's exactly like you said it would be. Perfect. A pause. Come home, Amira. It's time to celebrate. Amira closed her eyes. This was it. The point of no return. I'm on my way. But Élise, Viktor, you promised. He's alive, stable. You can see him when you arrive. Elise's voice turned cold. If you hurry. The line went dead. Amira set down the phone and looked at the Bratva soldiers waiting in the next room. 8 men. heavily armed. The best Viktor had. Now hers to command. She bought it, Amira said. We have maybe 4 hours before she realizes the council systems are still operational. That's our window. The team leader nodded. The jet's ready. We'll be in France in 3 hours. But once we're inside that estate... I know, Amira interrupted. It's a death trap. But Viktor's in there. And I'm not leaving without him. The flight to France was turbulence and silence. Amira sat alone, hands folded in her lap, mind running through every possible outcome. Most of them ended badly, but a few, just a few, ended with Viktor alive, with Élise destroyed, with freedom. She had to believe those outcomes were possible, because the alternative was unthinkable. They landed at a private airfield 30 kilometers from Élise's estate. Local contacts provided vehicles, black vans, nondescript, perfect for blending into French countryside traffic. The team moved with military precision, no wasted words, no hesitation. Amira rode in the lead vehicle, watching the estate come into view through the trees. Lights blazed in every window. Guards patrolled the perimeter. It looked impenetrable, but Amira had lived there for 3 days. She knew the weak points: the service entrance with the faulty camera, the hedge line that provided cover, the medical wing's emergency exit that only locked from the inside. There, she said, pointing. That's our entry point. The team leader studied it through binoculars. Tight, but doable. You sure about this? No, Amira admitted, but we're doing it anyway. They moved on foot through the darkness, weapons ready, every sense heightened. Amira's heart hammered, but her hands were steady. Viktor had trained her for this. Not this exact scenario, but the mindset. The calm in chaos. The clarity in crisis. They reached the service entrance. Amira swiped the stolen keycard, one she'd lifted from a guard 3 days ago. The door clicked open. Inside, the estate was quieter than expected. Élise's people moved with confident laziness, believing themselves untouchable. They had no idea 8 Bratva soldiers and 1 very angry woman were already inside. The medical wing was on the 2nd floor, east side. Amira led the way, moving through corridors she'd memorized, past rooms she recognized. Every step brought her closer to Viktor, closer to the moment this either worked or exploded into bloodshed. They reached the medical wing's security checkpoint. 2 guards, bored, unprepared. The Bratva soldiers moved like shadows. 2 seconds, both guards down, silent, efficient, brutal. Amira stepped over the bodies and pushed through the double doors. The medical room was exactly as she remembered. Machines beeping, monitors glowing. And in the bed, empty. Amira's blood turned to ice. No, he was supposed to be here. Looking for someone? Elise's voice came from behind them. Amira spun. Élise stood in the doorway, flanked by a dozen armed guards. Her smile was cold, triumphant. Did you really think I wouldn't know? Élise asked softly. That phone I gave you? I wasn't just monitoring it. I was tracking it. Listening to everything, including your little war room conversation with the Bratva Council. Amira's stomach dropped. The Bratva soldiers raised their weapons, but they were outnumbered 3 to 1, outmaneuvered, trapped. Where is he? Amira demanded. Where's Viktor? Safe, Élise said. For now. But that depends entirely on you. She gestured, and more guards appeared, dragging someone between them. Viktor, barely conscious, fresh bruises on his face, but alive. Viktor! Amira lunged forward. Guards grabbed her, holding her back. Viktor's eyes opened, focusing on her with effort. Amira, run! I'm not running, she choked out. Not without you. Élise stepped closer, gun in hand. How touching. But here's what's going to happen. Your Bratva friends are going to put down their weapons. And you're going to watch what happens when you betray me." She raised the gun, pointed it at Viktor's head. "No," Amira screamed. "Please, I'll do anything. Anything you want." "I know you will," Élise said. "But first, you need to learn what disobedience costs." Her finger tightened on the trigger. Time slowed. Amira saw everything with crystal clarity. The gun, Viktor's face, Elise's cold smile, the Bratva soldiers calculating odds they couldn't win. And then she remembered. Viktor's training. His words. His voice in her head. "When you're outgunned, outmanned, and out of options, create chaos." Amira threw herself backward, slamming into the guard holding her. He stumbled. She grabbed his sidearm, spun, and fired. Not at Élise, but at the medical equipment beside her. The machines exploded. Sparks, smoke, fire alarms screaming, sprinklers erupting. The room descended into chaos. "Now!" Amira shouted. The Bratva soldiers opened fire. Guards scattered. Viktor dropped to the ground, rolling toward cover. Amira ran for him, bullets tearing through the air around her, water pouring down, smoke burning her lungs. She reached Viktor, grabbed his arm. "Can you move?" "Barely," he gasped. "But yes." "Then move." She hauled him upright, half dragging, half carrying him toward the emergency exit. Behind them, Elise's voice cut through the chaos. "Kill them! Kill them both!" Bullets shredded the doorframe as Amira and Viktor crashed through the emergency exit. The Bratva soldiers laid down covering fire, buying them seconds, precious, bloody seconds. Viktor's weight sagged against her, his breathing labored, but he kept moving. 3 years of Mikhail's torture hadn't broken her. 3 weeks of Viktor's training had forged her. And tonight, she was dragging them both out of hell. "The vehicles!" The team leader shouted, firing backward as they ran. 200 meters! 200 meters might as well have been 2,000. Viktor stumbled, nearly going down. Amira caught him, her arm locked around his waist. "Stay with me. Viktor, stay with me." His eyes focused on hers, gray and determined despite the pain. "I'm not dying today, not after you came back for me." "Damn right you're not." She half carried, half dragged him across the estate grounds. Behind them, Elise's guards poured from every exit. Searchlights blazed to life, sweeping the darkness. Dogs barked, engines roared. The vans were ahead, so close, but Elise's people were closing in fast. The Bratva soldiers formed a defensive line, weapons blazing. 2 of them went down, then a third. "Go!" The team leader shouted at Amira. "Get him out! We'll hold them! I'm not leaving you." "That's an order, Mrs. Baranov. Go!" Amira's chest tightened, but she obeyed. She shoved Viktor into the back of the nearest van, climbing in after him. The driver gunned the engine before her door was even closed. Tires screamed. Bullets punched through the rear window, safety glass spiderwebbing but holding. Viktor collapsed across the seat, blood seeping through his shirt. Fresh wounds layered over barely healed ones. Amira pressed her hands to the worst of them, trying to stop the bleeding. "You're okay. You're okay. We're getting out of here." "The others," Viktor gasped, "gave us a chance." Amira's voice cracked. "Don't waste it." The van careened down narrow French roads, the driver pushing 80, 90, 100 kilometers per hour. Behind them, headlights appeared. Elise's people, 3 vehicles, closing fast. "They're on us!" the driver shouted. Amira grabbed the rifle from the front seat, checked the magazine. Still half full. She kicked out the shattered rear window and opened fire. The lead vehicle swerved, tires shredding. It spun out, crashing into a tree. The other 2 kept coming. "How far to the airfield?" Amira shouted over the gunfire. 5 minutes, maybe less if we don't die first." Viktor's hand found hers, weak but steady. "Amira, if we don't make it..." "We're making it," she snapped. "I didn't betray my mother and declare war on a French cartel just to watch you die in the back of a van." His lips curved despite the pain. "My wife. The revolutionary. Your wife. The one who's going to keep you alive long enough to yell at me for this later." She fired again, taking out the second vehicle's windshield. It veered off the road. One left. But this driver was better. Faster. More determined. The vehicle pulled alongside them, a gunman leaning out the passenger window. Amira didn't hesitate. She aimed low and fired. Tires, not people. The vehicle's front tire exploded. It flipped, rolling 3 times before coming to rest upside down in a ditch. Silence. Just the van's engine and Viktor's labored breathing. "Airfield ahead," the driver called. The private jet sat on the tarmac, engines already running. The pilot must have seen them coming because the door was open, stairs down, ready for a hot extraction. The van screeched to a halt. Amira and the driver pulled Viktor out, carrying him up the stairs. The moment they were inside, the jet started moving. "Get him stable," Amira ordered the medic waiting inside. Bratva resources, always prepared, always thorough. The medic went to work immediately, cutting away Viktor's shirt, assessing damage, starting IVs. Amira collapsed into a seat, hands shaking now that the adrenaline was crashing. They were alive. Against impossible odds, they were alive. But they weren't safe. Not yet. The jet climbed steeply, banking hard to the east, toward Moscow, toward home, toward whatever came next. Because Élise Duval wasn't the type to forgive betrayal. She would come for them, with everything she had. Viktor's hand reached for hers again. She took it, squeezing tight. His voice was barely a whisper. "You chose me, over power, over your mother, over everything she offered." "I chose us," Amira corrected. "And I'd make the same choice 1,000 times. Even knowing what's coming, the war, the blood, especially knowing." She leaned closer, resting her forehead against his. "I'm not afraid anymore, Viktor. Not of Élise, not of Mikhail, not of anything. You taught me that." "I taught you to fight," he murmured. "You taught yourself to be fearless. Then we're even." His eyes drifted closed, exhaustion and blood loss pulling him under. The medic caught Amira's worried look and nodded. "He'll live. He's stable. But he needs real surgery. Soon." "Moscow has the best," Amira said. "How long until we land?" 2 hours. 2 hours. Long enough for Élise to mobilize. Long enough for her to call in favors, activate sleeper agents, prepare for retaliation. Long enough for everything to go wrong. Amira's phone, the real one, secured Bratva device, buzzed. A message from the eldest councilman. "Estate assault failed. 3 men down. 2 captured. Élise Duval has declared war on the Bratva. She's offering 50 million euros for your head, yours and Viktor's. Every mercenary in Europe will be hunting you. Get to Moscow. We'll fortify. We'll fight. But Amira, this is going to be brutal." Amira stared at the message. 50 million euros. For both of them. That was more than most people saw in 10 lifetimes. Every assassin, every mercenary, every desperate criminal would come crawling out of the shadows. She typed back. "Let them come. We're ready." But she wasn't sure if that was true. Viktor was barely alive. The Bratva had just lost soldiers in France. And Élise. Élise had resources that spanned continents, weapons, money, loyalty bought with blood and fear. This wasn't going to be a war. It was going to be an execution. Unless Amira did something drastic. Something Élise would never see coming. She looked at Viktor, unconscious but breathing, thought about everything they'd survived, everything they'd become. And she made a decision. When the jet landed in Moscow, Amira didn't go to the Bratva headquarters. She didn't hide behind walls and soldiers. Instead, she walked straight into the open, into Red Square, into the heart of Moscow, where cameras watched everything and everyone knew her face. And she made a call, not to the Bratva, not to Viktor's people, to someone else entirely. Someone who hated Élise Duval almost as much as Amira did. The phone rang 3 times. Then a voice answered. Cold, familiar, deadly. Mikhail Orlov, Amira said. We need to talk. Silence stretched on the other end. Then Mikhail laughed. Low, cruel, genuinely amused. Amira Duval. Or should I say, Amira Baranov. I hear your mother put a price on your head. 50 million euros, Amira confirmed, but I'm not calling to surrender. I'm calling to make a deal. What kind of deal? Amira's voice went cold. Lethal. Everything Viktor had forged her into and more. You want me dead. Élise wants me dead. But what if I gave you something better? What if I gave you Élise Duval on a silver platter? Her networks. Her empire. Everything. Mikhail's amusement faded. Why would you do that? Because she took everything from me, Amira said. My childhood, my identity, my freedom. And then she tried to use me as a weapon against the man I love. So I'm going to destroy her, and you're going to help me. And what do I get out of this? Revenge, Amira said simply. She humiliated you, cost you men, made you look weak in front of the Bratva Council. Help me take her down and you get your reputation back. Plus a share of her territory when it's over. Silence. Long enough that Amira thought he'd hung up. Then, where and when? Amira smiled. Cold. Dangerous. The smile of a woman who'd learned to weaponize her pain. Tomorrow night. Midnight. The old warehouse district. Come alone, or don't come at all. She hung up before he could respond. Turned to find the Bratva soldiers who'd followed her into the square. Weapons hidden but ready. They stared at her like she'd lost her mind. Maybe she had. But sometimes, insanity was the only strategy left. Get Viktor to the medical facility, Amira ordered. Full security. No one gets in or out without my approval. And you? One of the soldiers asked. I'm ending this, Amira said. One way or another. The warehouse reeked of rust and old blood. Amira stood in the center, alone, a single overhead light casting harsh shadows across her face. No weapons visible, no backup in sight. Just her, and the trap she'd laid. Because Mikhail Orlov wasn't coming alone. She'd counted on that. In fact, she'd planned for it. Footsteps echoed. Mikhail emerged from the darkness, flanked by 8 men. All armed, all ready to kill her the moment he gave the word. His smile was the same one from her nightmares. Cruel, possessive, hungry. Amira, he purred. You look different, stronger. Viktor's training, I assume. Say his name again and I'll cut out your tongue, Amira said flatly. Mikhail's smile widened. There's the fire, I miss that. Breaking you was fun, but you were always more interesting when you fought back. I'm not here to reminisce. Amira pulled out a tablet, tossed it to him. He caught it, eyes narrowing. That's everything on Élise Duval. Her accounts, her supply routes, her contacts. Every secret she's kept for 30 years. Mikhail scrolled through, eyebrows rising. How did you get this? I'm her daughter, Amira said. She trusted me. Stupid mistake. And you're just giving this to me? Out of the goodness of your heart? Mikhail's voice dripped sarcasm. I'm giving it to you because you're the only one insane enough to go after her directly. The Bratva wants a strategic war. I want her dead. Fast, brutal, final. And in return, you leave me and Viktor alone, forever. No more hunting, no more revenge. We disappear, and you never look for us. Mikhail studied her, that calculating look she remembered too well. Why would I agree to that when I could just kill you now and take the information anyway? Because, Amira said calmly, the moment I don't check in with the Bratva Council in 30 minutes, 50 men surround this building and burn it to the ground, with you inside. Mikhail glanced at his men. They'd fanned out, covering exits, but Amira saw the uncertainty in their faces. They weren't stupid. This was a trap. They just didn't know what kind yet. You're bluffing, Mikhail said. Try me. Amira's voice was ice. I've got nothing left to lose, Mikhail. Élise put a price on my head. Viktor's barely alive. The Bratva's at war. So yes, I'll burn this whole building down with me inside if it means taking you with me. For the first time, genuine respect flickered in Mikhail's eyes. You really have changed. You made me survive, Amira said. Viktor made me dangerous. Now I'm both. Mikhail considered, then nodded slowly. Fine. I'll take Élise down. And when I do, you and Baranov disappear. But if I ever see your face again... You won't, Amira interrupted. We're done with this world, all of it. Then we have a deal. Mikhail extended his hand. Amira stared at it, the hand that had hurt her for 3 years, and felt nothing. No fear, no rage, just cold certainty. She shook it. Once, brief. Élise is in Paris, Amira said, fortified, paranoid. But she has one weakness. She thinks I'm still trying to earn her love. Use that. Make her think you captured me, that you're offering a trade. She'll come. And when she does, I'll end her, Mikhail finished. His smile returned, vicious and eager. This is going to be fun. This isn't about fun, Amira said. This is about survival. Mine, Viktor's, and making sure Élise Duval never hurts anyone again. Mikhail's men shifted, uneasy. Their boss making deals with the woman they'd hunted for months. But Mikhail seemed satisfied. Go. Before I change my mind. Amira walked past him, past his men, into the darkness beyond the warehouse. Her heart hammered, but her steps were steady. This was the gamble. Mikhail could shoot her in the back right, now. End it. Take everything. But he didn't, because men like Mikhail thrived on challenges, and taking down Élise Duval was the ultimate prize. Amira emerged into the Moscow night. Bratva soldiers materialized from the shadows, surrounding her instantly. It's done, she said. Mikhail's going after Élise. We need to move. Now. They drove in silence to the medical facility where Viktor was recovering. Amira burst through the doors, ignoring the guards, the doctors, everyone. She found Viktor in a private room, sitting up, color returning to his face. He looked up when she entered, something between relief and fury in his eyes. You made a deal with Mikail, he said. Not a question. A statement. I did. You're insane. Probably. Amira sat on the edge of his bed, taking his hands. But it's the only way this ends without more Bratva blood. Mikail wants Élise dead. So do we. Let him do the work. And when he's done, when Élise is gone and he comes for us anyway, he won't. Amira's voice was certain. Because we're disappearing. No more Bratva, no more cartels, no more wars. Just us. Somewhere, Elise's network can't reach. Somewhere, Mikhail won't bother looking. Viktor stared at her, searching her face. You're serious? Completely. I'm done, Viktor. Done with this world. Done with blood and bullets and people who think they own me. I want a life. A real one. With you. His hand came up, cupping her face. And if I can't leave? If the Bratva needs me? The Bratva has the council, Amira said. They survived before you. They'll survive after. But I won't survive losing you again. So we leave. Together. Or we die here. Together. Your choice. Silence stretched. Then Viktor pulled her close, kissing her hard, desperate and certain and alive. When they broke apart, his eyes were wet. Together, he whispered. Always together. 3 days later, Mikhail Orlov's forces hit Élise Duval's Paris estate. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, Élise Duval was dead. Mikhail had won. The Duval cartel collapsed within a week, territory carved up between Mikhail's people and opportunistic rivals. The Bratva council received a formal letter from Viktor Baranov. Resignation, effective immediately. His territory, his resources, his seat on the council, all transferred to his chosen successor. No explanation. No forwarding address. Viktor and Amira Baranov simply vanished. Some said they went to South America. Others claimed they were in Southeast Asia. A few swore they'd seen them in a small coastal town in Greece, running a cafe, living like normal people. None of it could be confirmed, because they'd done what so few in their world ever managed. They'd walked away, alive, free, together. And on a quiet beach thousands of miles from Moscow, Amira stood watching the sunset, Viktor's arms wrapped around her from behind. No guns, no blood, no fear, just peace. Do you regret it? Viktor murmured against her hair. Giving up the power? The Duval Empire? I gave up nothing, Amira said. I chose everything that matters. And if they find us someday, if Mikail or someone else comes hunting? Amira turned in his arms, eyes fierce. Then we fight, together, like we always do. But until that day comes, we live. Really live. No more surviving, just living. Viktor smiled, the first real, unguarded smile she'd ever seen from him. Then let's live. They walked down the beach hand in hand, the past bleeding away with every step. The girl who'd run through Moscow snow was gone. The MAFIA Lord who'd saved her was gone too. In their place were two people who'd survived hell and chosen love over everything else. And for the first time in both their lives, that was enough. If Amira and Viktor's story grabbed you by the throat and didn't let go, if you felt every bullet, every betrayal, every desperate choice, smash that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment telling me which moment destroyed you the most. Was it when she chose Viktor over power? When she made a deal with her worst nightmare? When they finally walked away from it all? Let me know. And if you know someone who needs to hear a story about choosing love over survival, about breaking free from the monsters who made you, share this video. Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do isn't fighting, it's walking away. Together. Until next time, remember, you are not defined by what was done to you. You are defined by what you choose to become. Now go live. Really live.